On that note, I am now very pleased to introduce our two student speakers, school co-presidents Annette Bell and Theo Perez.
Out of the frying pan into the fryer up here. All right, hello Andover. Thank you all for having me. Oh, hi, wow. Thank you all for having me today. I gotta say, I got up here and I saw all these young voting age people around clapping and I thought maybe I'd gotten lost and ended up at a Bernie Sanders rally. My name is Theo Perez, but 5 years from now you'll remember me as the funny looking one with all that hair. And I'm one of this year's student body co-presidents. And I gotta say, standing up here right now, kind of a power trip. Of course, with the overwhelming power I have in my role as high school co-president, I also have a fair amount of responsibility. In this case, they asked me to write a speech touching on themes of relationship, connections to the community, and what I will miss the most about this school. To which I responded, "Are you sure you don't want Mr. Mundra to write this instead?" But they insisted that I be the one to speak. Good people of Andover, I stand before you today proud to present to you the product of nights of tireless labor, meditation, and Fruit Loops. I, Theo Perez, am here to present the single most fire commencement speech of all time. Thank you. Now, I know this is an ambitious claim, but if my time at Andover has taught me one thing, it's that if you set for yourself an impossible goal and work at it tirelessly, with all the ingenuity and industry you can muster, you can and will get a 4. For my speech today, I'm going to condense my Andover experience into the 4 most important lessons I've learned over the course of my 4 years here. The first lesson, work hard but try not to stress. When I look back on my 4 years of intense academic rigor here at Andover, I have absolutely no clue what the heck just happened. Honestly, I remember bits and pieces here and there, listening to The Clash with Mr. McGraw, almost falling asleep in Gelb, actually falling asleep in Morse, and wondering what we were actually doing in Dr. Hawthorne's class, just to name a few. I definitely got grades, though I'd be hard-pressed to remember what they were, and I definitely learned something at some point, because I can now actually understand half of the words Mr. Palfrey uses when he gives his speech. But I just don't know when I learned. Now, this is, of course, an oversimplification of the academic process here. The truth is that academics were difficult and at times overwhelming, and we all had to learn to cope with them in different ways. My approach to academics here at Andover has been simple. They're important, but if you let them take over, they can and will eat you alive. Here I learned to work to the point of fulfillment, not to the point of arbitrary achievement. I learned to take the most interesting classes I could and to approach the least interesting ones as if they were more interesting. Most importantly of all, I learned the importance of trying not to stress. All it can do is wear you out, and there are enough things in the world trying to do that. Now, I know this may not be the cum laude formula, but it's how I was able to get through it. And I think that learning that balance between my life and my work is one of the most important things I've done here. Now, for the second lesson, have fun. To say that learning happens outside of the classroom is a cliche and, quite frankly, wrong. Learning does not happen outside of the classroom. Doing happens outside of the classroom, and it is by doing that I and many others find our greatest joy. In a world where we're often trained to collect accolades and use them to brag our ways higher, we sometimes forget the value in doing, in directly contributing to something or just having a simple experience. For some of us, that doing might have taken the form of some sort of artistic project or performance. For those rearing athletic stallions out there, such as myself, it might have happened on a sports field or in any number of other endeavors. But doing didn't only happen in constructive contexts. Some days, doing was just making the conscious decision to play video games with your friends before starting homework, or to listen to music all day before even starting to think about history research. We have quite a bit thrown at us here at Andover, and we'll have quite a bit thrown at us in life, and I learned that sometimes it's vital to take a step back and make the right-wrong decision for a little while. Now, there are many people who I could thank for helping me take steps in the back every now and then, but I would like to particularly thank all of my friends in Stearns for making it so easy to not do work. I've no doubt I wouldn't be here if it weren't for those guys. Now, the third lesson, be critical. You see, Andover experiences are like snowflakes and Kardashians. No two are exactly alike, but they're all fundamentally flawed in similar ways. Thank you. Every time we say we live in a bubble, we're telling a lie. Perhaps in a bubble, Andover could truly be a perfect intellectual paradise, but in reality, we are constantly infiltrated and fighting against the negative forces of the world around us. Intense competition can drive us to disregard our own well-being and at times the well-being of each other. Intense social and political debates around the world get warped into disappointing attacks or rumors around campus, and our own desire to achieve sometimes gets compulsive and destructive, interfering with curiosity and exploration. At times, I worry that our administration has made decisions out of fear, caution, or arbitrary regulation rather than out of genuine concern for the community. Now, I say this not to scare people off or to slander the school, but rather just to be frank with you all. This place is tough and at times dangerous for the psyche of us here. But diagnosis is the first step in improvement. Only by identifying and acknowledging the issues at hand can we begin to think about, could I begin to think about my own role at this school? And only by deciding how to confront and combat these issues could I begin to learn who I am as a person. It is only after being critical of my community and myself that I could see my own true colors and begin to grow. As for gratefulness, that is the ability to look past the flaws to some extent and acknowledge the awesome parts of the community around us. I have learned the reason that the school is able to function despite the aforementioned flaws is due to its immense diversity and capacity for kindness. While we may not be diverse on a theoretical scale, on a practical level, we right now are one of the most diverse prep schools in history. And although we are not all on our best behavior all of the time, I truly believe that every individual that I've met here has been interesting, likable, and distinct. No matter how bad it got, I never went a whole day without having the opportunity to laugh at least a little, and that was enough to keep me going. I'm immensely grateful for all the kindness I've been shown here and the opportunities I've been afforded. Now, it would be remiss of me to conclude this speech without acknowledging the adults in this community. For as much as we may at times complain, most of the faculty and staff here have incredibly taxing jobs. Those in the dorm are on call 24/7, and many have to struggle to raise a family beneath a roof of munch-happy teenagers, all after working from first period until the end of practice that day. The house counselors, advisors, teachers, coaches, mentors, directors, and friends that we have found among the adults here are doing us an incredible service by working here, and I, for one, am quite grateful for what many of them have done for me. For all my friends in the senior class, I would like to remind you that without some amount of gratefulness, you would only be left with bitterness, and nothing good can ever come of that. You don't necessarily have to go around singing the school's praise all the time, and you don't have to forget about the negative aspects, but you should find a few of the things you're grateful for to take away from here. So, that's it, friends. Those were wise old man Theo's 4 lessons from a process 4 years in the making. You've worked hard. Now you can get the heck out of here. You can leave and never come back. You can come back in 10 years, never again. It doesn't matter. The choice is yours. But before I leave, I want to share that I have an immense amount of respect for all of you that I'm far too awkward and self-conscious to express in words today. But all I will say is thank you, all of you, for sharing a small part of yourselves with me over these past however many years. I'm going to miss you all quite a bit. Hit me up if you need anything. Take it easy, friends. Now, I would like to call Annette. Oh. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all very much. I'd like to call Annette Bell, my co-president, up.
I want to take all of you back a few years. On a spring day, freshman year, I called my mom as I walked past what was at the time Mr. Tipton's house. Now, for those that remember freshman year me, you know that it was filled with what I can only describe as awkwardness in both appearance and personality. On the phone with my mom, I remember she asked me where I was going. I responded quickly saying, home. And although my mom wasn't too happy with that response, in that moment, Andover was my home. Now fast forward, we're all seniors about to graduate, and I still have the same feeling I had as a naive, awkward freshman 3 years ago. Andover is still my home on the hill, and I hope it is the same for all of you. This is not to say that Andover has been easy for me in the slightest. It has been hard for me to open up at Andover. Whether that means talking about something that brings me to tears, or just how I don't always seem to think that I'm good enough. I felt lost at Andover so many times, being a puppet in someone else's play. And although Andover and my sadness while at Andover do not stem from the same problems, they are both a part of me. There was a week upper spring when I had someone build me back up. I cried myself to sleep every night for a week because of a loved one I had lost a while back. I kept my pain to myself for 6 days. And when closing the door and holding myself as tears violently rolled down my cheek didn't help anymore, I knew I could not hold all this pain inside of me by myself. So I called my friend. She was the first person I told, and the first thing she asked me was, "Are you all right? Where are you? Stay where you are, I'm coming now." She came to me at my first call for help, and I can't say how grateful I am to have a friend like Jen Davis. Jen, you built me back up. We have all cried at one point or another, and more importantly, had someone to pick us back up. Sometime this past year, I remember sitting in the common room with some girls in my dorm and Dr. Hawthorne discussing beauty and how the world around us defines it. We talked about how it is important for us, without anyone else in the room, to look at ourselves in the mirror and know that we are worth something. Dr. Hawthorne didn't know it at the time, and she probably doesn't know it until this speech, but that is something I've been working on ever since my brother passed away. I wrote in a journal at the beginning of senior year, "I hate how I can be surrounded by so many people and feel so alone, so lost. How I want to be accepted but feel like I will never actually be good enough. I promise myself that one day I won't question my worth. I promise myself that one day I will love myself for all my strengths, all my weaknesses, all my sorrows, and all the things that make me, me." Dr. Hawthorne, I'm still trying to hold myself to those promises. And I want you to know that you were a big part of me, that you were a big part of me sticking to these promises this year. I know it sounds cheesy, but it's true. We are a big, unique, and imperfect family. Yes, sometimes we fight and argue with the people we love most in our family, but we get through it together. No matter how used to each other we become, or how much we drive each other crazy, we spent these last 4 years raising each other, and I believe we have done it well. For as long as I can remember, my mom has told me, my sister, my brother, and I, the story of the totem pole of life. 1st grade, you're at the bottom of the totem pole. 5th grade, you're at the top. 6th, bottom. 8th, top. And 9th, you're back at the bottom. And as my mom would say, classmates of 2016, we have been at the top of the totem pole for the last year. We have each made our mark on Andover. And here we are on the precipice of beginning all over again, embark on our college and gap year journeys, a new stage in our life, and we will all be back at the bottom of the totem pole. Well, actually, except for me, as a plebe and new cadet at the United States Military Academy, in just 3 short weeks, I won't be at the bottom of the totem pole, I'll be the dirt underneath the totem pole. But if you've learned nothing else from your time at the top of Andover's totem pole, there are a few things you can't possibly leave here without knowing. 1, tennis golf is a real sport. 2, Brugger's and Starbucks are all you need on a Saturday. 3, the Den is a place for when you have nothing else to do. 4, ornithology is a real science. And 5, you will always have a home on the hill. Class dismissed.